Hey everyone! Welcome to Movie Marathons HQ, where we do movie marathons and where we enjoy and review some of our favorite movies. This video is part of the Avengers Doomsday Movie Marathon, where we are watching one movie every week as we prepare for the release of Avengers Doomsday in December 2026. Today we are discussing X-Men Dark Phoenix, released in 2019 and directed by longtime X-Men screenwriter and producer Simon Kinberg. This is the last X-Men team-up movie of this first class. Chronologically, there are more adventures to come, but this is the most recently released X-Men team-up movie, and this continues the theme of setting each movie in a different decade, and this one takes place in the 90s. In X-Men Dark Phoenix, Jean Grey is possessed by a mysterious alien force called the Phoenix Force, and the X-Men must band together to either save her or save the world from her. Overall, I don't like this movie. It is very dull. This is an adaptation of the classic Dark Phoenix storyline from the comics, and while this movie did that storyline better than X-Men The Last Stand, which also had some elements of the Phoenix stuff, this movie is just a total drag. Spoilers ahead, because I'm going to talk about the ending of the movie. For positives, I'll mention the costumes, the CGI, the characterization of Charles Xavier, and the train scene at the end. For negatives, I'll talk about the villains, the continuity, a terrible scene with Charles Xavier, and the overall vibe of the movie. Okay, the first positive is the costumes. In the comics, the X-Men have had many costumes. Sometimes they are very colorful, as you can see in my shirt, but also sometimes they're minimalistic. In this movie, the X-Men, at the start, they go out to go save some astronauts who are out in space in some trouble, and they're all wearing matching costumes that are blue and yellow that kind of pay tribute to some of the classic X-Men costumes, but also look really cool. The costumes in X-Men First Class were also yellow and blue, so it's kind of that same homage, that same kind of reference to those classic costumes. But I really like the costumes in this one. They are really sleek, they're unified, and best of all, they're colorful. In the later X-Men movies that we're going to review, they're just wearing black leather and it's very boring and not colorful. So it is cool that these ones have at least some color and some pop to them. It's unfortunate that we didn't get to see the truly classic costumes that we saw right at the end of X-Men Apocalypse, which was the previous movie. At the end of that movie, they tease these great looking classic costumes, and then they come to this movie, which is the next one, and they're wearing these other ones. I do like these costumes, but I still wish that we had the other ones from X-Men Apocalypse, but I still have to say the costumes are positive. Another good thing in this movie is the CGI. It's really spectacular, and in particular, there's a scene where Jean Grey, played by Sophie Turner, and Vuk, played by Jessica Chastain, are talking together, and the background dissolves into like a space kind of background cosmic scene, and it's really beautiful. There's also some other great CGI in the movie as the X-Men are fighting, and you get to see their powers and stuff. It looks real in world. It doesn't stand out or look like it draws attention to itself. So I always say that if CGI blends in, then it's a well-used tool in the belt of the storyteller. So I'd have to say the CGI is a positive in my book. Another positive is the characterization of Charles Xavier in this movie. We see a darker aspect of Charles in this movie, played once again by the magnificent James McAvoy. He's always been the noble and true kind of North Star of the X-Men. He's had a strong moral compass, and he knows which direction the X-Men need to go. But in X-Men Dark Phoenix, they take him in a different direction. We see a side of him where he revels in the fame and notoriety that the X-Men have achieved, and he feels like a lot of it is a tribute to him. Because of that, he loses his way. There's a really great scene where Raven calls him out directly and says, "You've changed, and you know that you've changed." We have seen Charles Xavier sort of turn his back on the X-Men in X-Men Days of Future Past. He more so, I think, turned his back on himself. Whereas in this movie, he's kind of turning towards himself and away from the X-Men. It's like he's set his ladder against the wrong wall. and so his leadership is going in the wrong direction. And so I like that they did something different with him. It feels like it fits with his character, and it does fit with where the movie goes. So that's, again, a positive. And lastly, towards the end of the movie, there's a train scene where our X-Men heroes are taken by the bad guys and put on a train, and then a big fight begins, and it's a really great fight. We get to see lots of the X-Men in action. We get to see all of their different powers on display, and it's a really long fight, which is cool, not just like a quick over and done with. I really don't understand what the danger is, because as we'll describe later, the villains don't really make any sense or scare anybody, so I don't really get what the dread is in the fight, but the fight's really cool, so you got to give props to a great fight scene. Now for negatives, we have the villains. In this movie, there's a race of aliens that is introduced. They're called the Dabari people. It is from the comics, apparently. I was not familiar with them, but Wikipedia says that they are in the X-Men comics. Their whole purpose is they want to resurrect their race on Earth, and they want to use the Phoenix Force to do it. So they either want to get Jean Grey on their side, or they want to get the Phoenix Force from her so they can resurrect their race and probably destroy Earth in the process. Jessica Chastain, who is very talented, plays their alien leader named Vuk. Yes, that is the real character name. And though she seems to really be trying in the role, she's given nothing to work with. I don't understand. Like, I get what these aliens want, but it doesn't seem scary. They don't seem to do anything scary. That makes me feel like, wow, these guys are pretty dangerous. They walk around really slow, and they can morph into humans, and so they all take on a human form. So I guess that's scary, but they're also not hiding what they're doing. I don't get why they are a threat. I'm not a screenwriter, but does it matter if you take these guys out of the movie and just make the movie about Jean Grey's Phoenix Force going haywire? I don't know why you need these guys. So having these villains that are supposed to be set up, I feel like was a total failure, and that's a negative for me. Next, there is a scene that blows my mind with how terrible and laughable it is, and that it was still conceived of, written, pitched, accepted, typed up on the page, and then acted out. It's very terrible. It's kind of a micro negative because it's just this scene that I dislike a lot. But there's a scene where Charles confronts Jean. Charles was hit in the spine by a bullet, deflected by Eric in X-Men First Class. So he's been a paraplegic for 30 years. There's this other negative in X-Men Days of Future Past where he can walk because of a serum, but leave that aside. Charles has been a paraplegic for 30 years. In this confrontation between Charles and Jean Grey, I think in a way for Jean to showcase her power, she uses her telekinesis to force Charles up out of his chair and walk up a set of stairs. It's ridiculous. It's laughable. It's insane. And James McAvoy, bless his heart, is acting his heart out, but it's so terrible. It's such a massive fail. I laugh every time, and I don't think I'm supposed to laugh, but it is a terrible scene. So a micro negative because it's just one bad scene. It doesn't ruin the whole movie, but it stands out so much that I had to include it here as a negative. And now the final negative is the overarching negative of this whole movie. It is dreadfully dull. Some of the actors seem like they're phoning it in, especially Jennifer Lawrence, I hate to say. As I said, there's spoilers in this review. Her character dies. And although I've liked her character and they've done interesting things with her character for 3 movies now, I didn't care. There's no reason to care that she dies in this scene or in this movie. It's so dull. Nobody really is having fun, and I know that the subject matter is serious. We're dealing with themes of having a best friend who loses their way. There's helplessness. There's an alien takeover. It's all very serious. I get it. But none of this movie is any fun. The start of the movie with the rescue of the astronauts is pretty cool, and the end of the movie, which has the fight scene on the train, is also cool. But in between, it's dull after dull after dull scene. So that's the main negative for the whole movie, is I just find it so dull. Now, how might X-Men Dark Phoenix connect to Avengers Doomsday? It really won't. none of the actors in this movie are part of the announcement of Avengers Doomsday in the cast lineup. The older actors of these characters are going to appear in Doomsday, but it seems like, so I guess these characters are going to appear, but these actors are not. Because of that, unless there's major surprises, there's really no connection here. You could leave this movie off of your marathon if you wanted, but I felt wrong leaving it off my list because I'm watching pretty much all of the X-Men movies, so I wanted to include this. On the same note, I am skipping The New Mutants, which is technically an X-Men movie, but it's so separate and so outside of this and no overlap that I'm leaving it out of the marathon overall. And fun fact, this is the first X-Men movie that does not feature Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. So I think there's no connection to Avengers Doomsday. At the conclusion of this X-Men tetralogy, I would say that my favorite one is X-Men First Class, followed by Days of Future Past, followed by this one, and then Apocalypse, I guess. They're both pretty bad, so it's hard to say which one's better or worse. The best thing about this series is James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender are insanely good in their roles. They are very well cast and just understand their characters very thoroughly, I feel. The rest of the younger cast is also really good, like Jennifer Lawrence, Nicholas Hoult, and Evan Peters. They're also really great in their roles, really fun, and they bring a lot of gravitas to their roles and a lot of seriousness to their roles. So I really enjoy them. That's the best part about this series. And I do really look forward to reviewing the original X-Men trilogy in the next few weeks. So that's my review of X-Men Dark Phoenix. What do you think of this movie and how do you think it may connect to Avengers Doomsday? Make sure to let me know in the comments. Follow Movie Marathons HQ on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and make sure to follow on Letterboxd, where you can see all 5 versions of the Avengers Doomsday Movie Marathon and also all of the other movie marathons we have going on right now. The next movie in this movie marathon is Captain Marvel. See you at the movies!